Morning, everyone. I'm doing the holistic health and nutrition coaching. And does anyone else find that, because I was a personal trainer, bar attack, I studied nutrition years ago but didn't finish it, that you get a lot of your own stuff coming up as you're doing the course, and you sort of sometimes, you don't want to shut it down, but you sort of, you get triggered. And I think for me, because I've done a lot of mindset work, this to me helps me recognise what other people are going to go through when they see me as a coach. But also, does anyone else feel, will I know enough? That's my sort of thing. When will I know enough? What will I be good at? Those sort of things start to come up, and I think that's been my pattern why I haven't done anything in the past, because I know I've got the knowledge and the experience, but yeah.
So if you know that you've got the knowledge and the experience, but then you worry, do I know enough? What's the conflict? What is it that holds you back from sharing that knowledge and experience, helping people?
Courage, I think. Fear, probably. Yeah, fear of not being good enough. Yeah.
See, we went from courage to fear.
Yeah.
It's not that you lack courage. It's maybe that you lack the belief in yourself, or it's maybe that the fear is more pronounced than it will allow the courage to be.
Yeah.
But what's correct behind the fear, Michelle?
That people will know me.
That people will know you, or people will see you.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right there. Yeah, that people will see me. Yeah.
And what is it that you're afraid of people will actually see?
The vulnerability.
Because?
The real me.
Oh, okay. What would happen if people saw the real you?
I'd probably be stoked, actually, because I'm actually being authentic in me.
And how do you think that would make you feel with people seeing you and kind of being okay with it? Could you be okay with that?
Oh, yeah, it'd be amazing. Being able to, if I really say it, be myself and be in a modality that I love and be doing what I love and sharing what I love, not being in a 9-to-5 that I absolutely dislike, and sharing my purpose and finally being authentically me.
So there's more reasons to choose love than choose fear from what you've just said.
Yes.
What do you choose?
I choose love. Definitely.
So next time, what is it? So the next step is this is what you do in a coaching session. The next step would be to identify, when does the fear show up? When does the fear come up when you're about to take action, or you're thinking about taking action, and the fear habitually pops its ugly head up and stops you? So then identifying when those situations arise, and if you're going to choose love instead of choose fear, how are you then going to implement that in those moments when it counts the most?
I love that.
So what you could do, if you guys were the coach, what would you say to Michelle now in helping her identify those moments? What's an exercise that you could just pull out of the top of your head that you could give Michelle in order for her to identify what those moments are, so you could then be on the next steps of how are we then going to help her choose love instead of choose fear, especially when she's got all this wonderful story of what love means. It's choosing your passion. It's being authentic. It's being real with people. It's letting people see you. And that's not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing. So how can we change the association of, if I do that, it's fear? Or if I choose love and I do that, it's letting people see me. It's helping people. It's following my passion. It's doing this modality that I love so much. There's more positive feelings attached to that create better feelings for you to experience than the fear, which just basically keeps you stuck.
Yes, 100% it does.
Just
even thinking about sharing takes me straight out of that, because some days when I sit down to say study, I'll be like, something will sometimes block me, and then that just automatically thinking, sharing my story or so helping others, that changes that to excel me to keep going, even just that thought already
so
now.
A motivating thought for you.
Yes.
Okay, great. So that's another piece of information, everyone, coaches. That's another piece of information that you can utilize into perhaps a visualization. Is once you've identified what are the moments in time where the fear rears its ugly head, okay, great. Now that we've isolated them, how in each of those moments can you choose love? And then helping her problem solve. Once you've brought the awareness to the table and you know where the fear pops up and you understand why it's popping up, what the fear actually represents, but you also then know the opposite. If the fear wasn't there and I chose love instead, this is what it would look like. This is what it would feel like. This is what I'd be able to do. I'd be able to follow my passion, be able to help people. And now that you've just brought that awareness in, just say it again for me. What is the new thought that you could apply? As soon as you think of it, it changes everything.
That I want to share with others my story and help others in the world. And this excels my learning to I do have a lot of knowledge. I do have a lot of life experience, and I don't want to get to 90 or whatever and haven't done what I love, because I've held back long enough doing that. And that's why I researched a lot before I found your course, and it just felt right. Here it felt right. It wasn't anything on the words. It aligned. Everyone else was saying, go to uni, do this. No, I want something real. And the fact that it does the mind, body and soul, which is my way of life, and I live it as well. I live that way of life.
Great.
So I've been like that for a lot of years. And I've been through my own health journey. So, yeah.
So sharing that health journey is going to help so many people, don't you think?
Yes.
That'll feel amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Maria,
I'm excited now.
Yes.
Thanks, Jennifer. You know what I was just thinking as you were speaking, Michelle, you said after Viki kind of helped you and you got the resounding emotion of what you actually wanted to feel when your language and your automatic negative thoughts put you into the freeze state, you actually said, well, now I feel excited. And so it reminded me that so often, because the response in our bodies is the same, whether we're feeling fearful or excited, right? So it's almost like switching on the filter that says, oh, I'm actually feeling challenged, not threatened, right?
Yeah.
And seeing it through that lens. So now it becomes an excited feeling that you're feeling, and that can really help propel you. I think it's beautiful. And hearing you share was amazing. And you have already, I can tell, so much to give. So
thank you. I love that. I love that feeling challenge, not threatened. I'll write that down. I love that. Thank you so much. And I love your background. That's besides you, beautiful, but this is as well. Yeah.
There's always something lovely happening in my home because we live in a very cold city. So wherever I can bring in the beauty, I'll bring it.
Come to Australia.
I know. I need to. I'm in Canada and it's very cold, and I'm from Greece originally. So my blood is like, where is the sun?
Definitely.
Thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate it.
Welcome. Thanks for letting me share, Viki. Thank you.
Awesome. So you've got a couple of focus points there. You've got sharing. Sharing immediately reminds you, particularly when you sit down to study and you said sometimes you get blocked. Switching the thought to, oh, I have to do this work for myself, to, wow, I get to share this with others by learning how to apply it and experience it and gain the insights from doing it. I can better understand how difficult or challenging or illuminating it's going to be for my future clients. So sharing is your number one. That's what you said first. And then the second thing was what Maria just pointed out, because that excitatory pathway is very similar, fear, excitement, you can choose to be excited. So when you catch yourself saying, oh, I have to do this, I have to do this, I need to do this, I've got to do that, switch your language around. I'm choosing to do this. I get to do this. I want to do this. When you change the language, it's just creating a slightly different pathway, and the feeling state shifts. because the feeling attached to, I have to do this. It's got to be done. I have to do it. That doesn't feel good.
No.
But when you flip the language and you say, I choose to do this. I choose to do this because, that's an even more powerful statement. I choose to do this because. So for you, what would the statement be? I choose to sit down and do this study because
I want to inspire and nurture people to show them that there's a better way.
Yeah, brilliant. So that's your flip. So first one was sharing. The second one is not challenged. Challenged, not threatened. And the third one is something I'm going to go back to that you said, when I don't want to get to 90 and regret not doing this. So here is how you can turn that into a question to just catch yourself in the moment and choose. Will I regret not doing this when I'm 90?
I love that.
So you can really decide, if I'm 90 years old and I haven't done this, am I going to regret it? Yes. Okay, there's my decision. I'm going to go for it. This is a challenge. It's not a threat. I get to do this so then I can share it with others. See how it all starts to tie together?
Yes.
So this becomes your new mindset.
I love that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anyone want to add anything onto that? Okay.
So I just want to say that if you guys didn't notice, Viki just totally coached Michelle. So Viki did not really give her any advice. She kept asking her.
Oh, yes.
And you came up, this is something you need to know about when you're coaching, that your coachees, your clients, they have the answers, right? You just have to ask the questions. And if they're stuck, you can like prompt them along and say, well, what about, or something. But that's a good coaching scenario right there.
Look at this.
I know, right? See?
Yeah.
So there you go.
So now we always want to test our work. As a clinical hypnotherapist, that's what we always do. So, but we can do that in coaching as well. We can measure how someone feels in their stress at the beginning of working with us, and we can re-measure a few weeks in, once we've taught them some tools, some breathing, relaxation, ways to better handle their stress triggers better, etc. So let's go back and test. What was the biggest thing that you said at the very beginning about the fear?
It's not fair.
Perfect. We don't need to test it because it's not an issue for you now. So the thought of actually sitting down and doing study.
Just learning more information and sharing my knowledge and helping others and having the qualification to do that.
Yeah. Awesome. Fantastic.
I'm excited now.
Yeah, I think going with like the perspective shift. So if you see it as an opportunity versus, it's even your body language, like, oh God, I have to do this, right? If you're like, wow, I have this opportunity. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's another perspective shift. You chose this for some reason, right? So this is your opportunity to get to where you want to be and then enjoy the process along the way. So instead of just focusing on the goal and then maybe being like, we all jump ahead. I totally understand that. So we're all about, where's my niche, right? When you're on the like third module or something.
Yep, that's where I am.
But it's fine. But I'm just saying it's totally normal, right? I mean, people are emailing me, I don't know about my niche. And I'm like, which is fine. If we enjoy the process of learning, right? So if you congratulate yourself with every time you open up your computer to do this work, and that you've sat down and you've done it, you had an opportunity and you did a great job. And just remember all of your little air quotes steps along the way and just enjoy the process, because it's a pretty cool process.
It is.
Right?
Thank you.
Yeah. And it's an opportunity to live the life you want.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, sure.
So even though, we can see that there's a change in Michelle. Can everyone see there's a change in her face and how she's thinking about this now? Right. The thing is, at the beginning, you want to identify what is the block. What does it represent? So we didn't dig into really even too much into the thought process, just what it represented. But then flipping it and reconnecting to the meaning behind, why did you do this in the first place? You know, what does it mean to you? Asking someone what something means to them is really important, because everything is subjective. And what something means to us is not going to mean the same thing to our client. So we really need to seek clarification on, what does that mean to you? What does that look like? What would that feel like if you achieve what it is that you want? So we need to attach the meaning to it. And then if you can connect them into the feeling state of what that meaning represents to them, and then you can question the inner conflict, the misalignment, the incongruence between what they're thinking or wanting and what they're doing. If you can follow those kinds of steps, which you'll learn throughout the course, then you connect them in with a different feeling state. And you then can bring in more new associations via their memory to create a new meaning state for that, to create a new meaning for them that replaces the old one. Instead of it being fearful, it's now exciting. It might not seem like we're doing that much, even though that's still a skill to do that. But what's happening internally is quite remarkable. And this is what neuroplasticity can do for us. When we can question the right things, we can disrupt certain patterns and associations and replace them for new, supportive and healthy ones. So the neuroplasticity will continue to support you and work with you the more that you choose love.
Yes.
Right? The more that you choose yourself, the more that you choose challenge, the more that you choose excitement, the more that you choose to follow your dream and to help people, the more you stay connected and aligned to your purpose and what it means to you, which feels so much better than, nah, too much. Right? So the more you can fill that picture, that visual, with those positive feelings and associations in the mind, because the mind mostly thinks in pictures. If you can associate that with more positive feelings and a deep reason why, and you can see yourself moving in the direction, and you've got some course corrections. So the nice course correction that we started with was, are you choosing love or fear? Which one do you want to choose? Okay, great. That's the decision. You've got to start with the mental decision, because we can't help people who don't want to first help themselves. So they have to be making that mental decision. What am I choosing? What do I want? The next one was that lovely association that Maria gave you, which was changing that state of, I'm feeling threatened or I'm feeling scared, which is in that fear state, that fear response, in changing that to a new association of, it's not threat, it's challenge. It's a challenge that I actually want to move into. It's a challenge that I actually want to rise to, because that challenge is going to get me where I want to be, which is to choose love and share my knowledge. And then taking it back again, the other course correction was asking yourself, turning that statement that you'd made that I picked up on and just reflecting it to you as a question. When I'm 90, am I going to regret if I don't do this? Okay, that's another course correction. That's reminding you of what is most important here. Choosing love, sharing my story, helping people, because that feels good, right? So the more that you choose those things with these new associations that we've now helped you make in your brain, the more that you choose them, the more you strengthen those new connections. And the more that you replace the old connection of fear just won't work as much in relation to this issue. We still need fear, because fear is a survival mechanism, but it's not going to be getting in the way of you choosing what it is that you want to do. You might still feel the fear, but you're going to do it anyway, because you're choosing to override it, because there's more meaning for you in completing this choice than staying stuck in the fear. There's no meaning in staying stuck in the fear. It just means that, well, I'm blocking myself off from people seeing me in my authentic self and being able to help people. But if I choose this, it's a challenge. It's exciting. I won't regret having tried, and I get to experience what I'm going to help other people learn for themselves as well. And I get to share my story. See, and you could go on and on and on and create new, more significant and meaningful connections that really support this pathway of choosing love instead of staying stuck in fear. Right? So we're swapping one for the other. You can never, ever just stop a bad behavior or an old habit, because the power of that unconscious and that neuronal connection in the brain and the nervous system, that's in there. You can't just stop doing it, because otherwise the loop is going to start and the loop's going, well, I've got no other loop to replace it with. I've got no other alternative. So you can't just stop a bad habit. You can't just stop smoking. You can't just stop doing this. You've got to replace it for something else. You've got to give it an alternative. Same with the brain. If you want to disrupt a habit loop, you have to have an alternate habit to replace it with. And then it's about consistently, consciously choosing the new habit.
I'm going to write up some, I've already thought about, I've written a lot of notes, but I'm going to write up in bright pens just a few of those notes and just put them on my study desk so that it's around there, so visually, because I'm visual, just to see why I'm doing it. Then every time I sit down there, I can see the actual reasons behind it.
Yeah. Awesome.
And that's what Viki is saying. And this is something that you can do with your clients also, is help them discover their why. Like, what is your emotional driver? And just keep digging like Viki was. So what are the benefits to doing that? So the more that you talk about it, the more you find more emotional drivers that, right?
And if those of you who are doing nutrition, if you've already moved through those sections, you'll already see that Jennifer refers to the habit loop, right? Cue, routine, response, or cue, routine, reward. We do as well in module 7 in neuroscience. So you learn how beliefs are formed in module 2. In the second stage, you're learning more about how do we disrupt and change those beliefs and those patterns in the brain through neuroplasticity, mind-body tools, stress, gratitude, positive psychology. It all backs it up, and it takes it much deeper for you with many more tools in your toolkit to apply with client work. But I think it's really important to actually introduce the habit loop a lot sooner. That way you can understand how habits are formed at that early stage. So you can then know how to break the habit, change the habit by either altering the cue, the trigger that triggers the brain to go in that habit loop, or by altering the routine. You have to preserve the reward, because the reward is what, is the outcome of the reason why you do it. So it's very hard to change that. But if we can change the trigger and we can change the routine and still preserve the reward, we can create a brand new habit. And the habit loop is going to then support us instead of be unhealthy or destructive.